We're not live yet, are we?
Sorry. The stream is up for people to gather. So, um, but because we're not in the green room, I'm putting us both on mute. So, Yes, I can still hear you. Hello, everyone. Oh, it remembered from last time. Here you are already. Usually I do my little monologue, but that's
Having
fine.
some technical difficulties. Now my headset's not working. Oh my goodness.
It is working because we can hear you. We'll work on that. Anyway, I'm gonna vamp while we could hear him. I'll vamp anyway. Welcome, everyone. We are doing it again. We saw last week. Let me set the scene. Last week we did a special event of a new podcast called The Living Joke. And we liked it so much, and you guys responded, and people liked our shorts, especially our talk on Nintendo. Actually, there was somebody on LinkedIn who's a AAA games developer that commented on one of our shorts, so that was really cool. So we liked it, we loved it, people seem to respond to it, so we're going to keep doing it. So in the future, this will be hopefully the last time we have to use the Camera Journal intro. We'll make one of our own here soon. I'm going to get graphics done, all this type of thing, since we're going to really do this. So we're back this week again. A little later than last time because life is in the way, but a little later than last time, but we're back again on Wednesday to talk all things not political. We're talking gaming, we're talking cars, we're talking movies, all sorts of things. There might actually even be some rant and back and forth about Star Trek Online at some point today. We're going to have fun. So welcome back, Will and Connor, to the Living Joke podcast.
Howdy. It's good to be back.
Yes, so we're going to have a lot of fun. And I want to kind of start out in a kind of a bit of a personal... Where's my production notes? Here they are. This episode is titled The Sequel. And we are with sequels, I want to start theming these in the titles, so I made a note to myself to call it The Sequel because it's like a movie reference sort of thing. But one, Jimmy Swaggart died. If you grew up evangelical or watched a lot of religious programming growing up, you'd be familiar with who Jimmy Swaggart is. And he died this week. And so I thought, my mom texted me that. So I thought I would note about it, that if you grew up religious, that's a, depending on how you feel about him, that can be a good or a bad thing for you. So your grandma might cry, but you might be happy that the old dude's dead. I also found out this week, speaking of K-pop, that BTS is done with their mandatory military service in Korea, and they have a new album and tour coming up this spring. So if you're into K-pop, we might return to that subject in a minute, but we're into K-pop and everything. So
good
and
for
then
them.
yes, good for them. Yes, and so then I thought I would start off after all of this. It's been a crazy week. It's been a busy week here. A lot of things has happened and occurred, and we've had a lot of interesting conversations, and it's been really fun to watch you guys start brainstorming ideas for the show and everything. So that was a lot of fun. But I thought I'd start off today's show with this question: what are you using AI for? And I ask because AI is getting into everything and everywhere. You guys know at my book publisher / media company, we're rolling out AI into as many things as we can stuff it into. So I was kind of, and there's been a lot of talk of what people are using AI for, and we're losing critical thinking skills and conversation skills, and people are getting into relationships with ChatGPT and all this type of thing. So I thought I'd start the discussion off with, what are you using AI for? This can be a short discussion, but what are you using AI for and why?
I personally have
start
been
us
using
off?
it. Yeah, sure. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, okay. My mic was having problems for a minute. Personally, I use it. I've been using it to write resumes, tailored to whatever specific jobs I've been applying to lately. Sometimes I ask it to edit a photo, but it's not very good at it. And honestly, some of the results are laughable, quite laughable. Connor has some wonderful photos
Oh,
that
yes, I do.
were made with AI.
My mother made it, actually. Hysterical.
Dude, yeah, we'll have to put those up on the screen at some point.
Maybe one day we'll share those.
Yeah, we'll share those at some point. That's mainly. Sometimes I'll ask it a question or like how to do something if I'm lost on a game or whatever. But that's about it.
Yeah, to piggyback off of what he said, for resumes and cover letters, it's great. Everyone should do it especially if you're not writing inclined like I am.
While Connor's taking a swig of Gatorade, let me just say, it's okay to use AI to do that stuff, but please, like, add your own flares to it, because it's going to be like, I have experience working with George Foreman instead of whoever you actually meant. Like, proofread it, please.
Yeah. Great advice. Yeah. I've also been using it if I see something, or either it's like an animal, an arachnid, or whatever, and I don't know what it is, I will send it a picture and ask it to tell me what was the last thing I wanted to comment that it was great for. Oh well, I forgot.
It's okay. No, I had not thought of that. That's really clever for like bugs and things. I had not even thought of doing that.
Let's see. My recent. I'm just going to read you 5 of my recent ChatGPT searches.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
We have scheduling tools for PTSD, presentation image assistance, Osama bin Laden's hideout, hockey stick price calculations, and the amount of time required to microwave a russet potato.
I feel like
more specifically, when I was looking at Osama bin Laden's hideout, I was trying to get a list of like all the anime and weird shit he had on his computer.
Yeah.
Yes.
Here's an interesting question.
Like
Why
Naruto.
would you ask that of AI instead of just Googling it?
Because ChatGPT or AI is way more like, it digs way deeper than Google does. You don't have to spend like 5-10 minutes looking through pages of Google, news articles or whatever, trying to find the thing you're looking for. As long as you're like specific with ChatGPT, like I want a specific list of this specific thing, it'll look for those specifics.
No, I mean that.
And
No,
then
that definitely makes sense. Yeah.
even with Google's new actual like AI assistant, where it will answer questions, the information is, God, it's wrong so much of the time when I've asked it questions compared to OpenAI, and OpenAI gives me way more information from less prompting. I can ask OpenAI a simple question and it will give me any information I could have wanted on that subject, where Google is usually like, here's the answer to your direct question, and then I found it's been wrong most of the time.
No, I think that's interesting. This week there was an article going around from the Atlantic called the end of publishing, and there were some publications that were getting ready to basically lose all traffic from Google because people are now using AI for search far more than they are using for Google. Google search traffic's already down 34%.
Not shocking.
Yes, and people had complained for a while that Google had become a lot of slop. People were Google having only search Reddit for certain things because, you know, the front page of Google is about useless, and now there's the AI summary at the top and all this sort of thing. So I'm not. There was already dissatisfaction with the product, mostly because they put the ads guy in charge of it, not the product guy, sort of thing. And so I'm not surprised there was dissatisfaction there. And I think a lot of the things you guys read up and were using it for makes a lot of sense for why you would turn to AI over Google search. As someone who is a proponent of the open web and who owns a website, this is not great news for me, but that's okay. It's you know, there are some AIs that do still link out. I get a lot of traffic from Perplexity, actually. Which is interesting. One of my SEO plugins just asked me to update so that it could tell AI how to read the Cameron Journal. So we now have like a sitemap for search and now an LLM guide for AI. And which I think is interesting. I'm going to like, oh great, now college kids are going to be quoting me on their papers and they won't even know it. But yeah, so I thought those are all interesting use cases. I have started to use it a little bit more for business planning and doing some social posts. I actually pay for one called Pressmaster that handles a lot of the social media threads for the Cameron Journal and all this type of thing. And I've had a new tool through my company called Expert Loop that actually did a very good job of taking my latest book, America's Lost Generation, coming up with the 10 biggest points in it, and then kind of summarizing those, which was incredibly helpful. And I was impressed because it actually picked the same things I would have picked, and a couple that I hadn't thought of or forgotten that I'd had. Yeah, so it was very interesting. But I thought it was an interesting discussion because we're at this kind of weird inflection point with AI where people are starting to use it a lot more. It's starting to catch on with everyday people, and so I thought that'd be a great kind of conversation opener to kind of be like, how are we using AI? So I'm old-fashioned. I actually still search for things on Google. The top AI summaries I do tend to skip. They have problems. But I'm usually looking for, something where I'm trying to do some sort of research or whatever have you, or I need, things sourced, all this sort of things. I have to kind of go find where it's at. But I have not, I've not gotten into doing like, the type of searches you guys are doing. So that's very interesting. That's kind of.
I think you should try it.
Yeah, I have to think. Yeah, the next time I think of something I'm looking for, I'll have to give it a go.
Mm-hmm.
But I am working on an AI-driven business plan, which I think will be very interesting. So it is fascinating. Speaking of things that are too full of technology and that are moving the world, our first segment is going to be about cars and all things automotive. And this is the segment we were going to do last week we didn't get to because we went off on a whole gaming tangent sort of thing. So I thought some car chat would be a little bit fun, especially because Connor has recently purchased a new automobile. So I'm going to start with
correct.
Connor. Why don't you tell us all about it and your experience and everything, and we'll go from there.
Sure, once I adjust my camera here. I just got a 2022 Honda CR-V, or HR-V, rather.
Yeah.
I love the thing. I don't know what else to say. My favorite car ever.
What else were you looking at, and why'd you pick it?
What else was I looking at? Just other Hondas. I picked it
Just-
because my
yeah.
first car was a Honda CRV, a 99, and that was my favorite car ever. I wish I wasn't young and dumb and just took better care of it. It could have lasted me longer. Not until now, but it could have lasted me longer.
No, absolutely. Yeah, that's no. I mean that's some brand loyalty there though. That's funny. Yeah, I delivered. We bought when I worked in cars. We bought like 5 or 6 of those little CRVs from that model year. Those are fun to drive. They're a little top heavy. You got to be careful around corners, but they are fun to drive though. So.
It's a smooth ride, and I love that when I open up the hood to do stuff, I'm not looking at an absolute fucking calamity of parts and stuff everywhere. It's just so pristine and well organized. I was shocked, sort of, when I opened it the first time.
Yeah, that's unusual for modern cars. Most modern cars are an amalgam of impossibility that makes no sense to anybody. So that's good. That's really good. So what was the final 2? The HRV. What was the other one you might have picked?
Oh, a CRV.
Okay.
Yeah.
That,
And then
alright.
the choice on that just came down to the design. I enjoyed the design of the HRV a little more. It looks a little slimmer, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, well, good. That's an excellent sort of thing. I know one last thing though. What were when you decided? Because when I first met you, said Subaru Forester, and I'm going to bitch about Forester in a second. Because I'm still loaded down with one. Yes, I'm still loaded down with one. What did you love and hate about your old car?
I liked that when it was running properly or didn't have problems. It was a good car. It got me from point A to point B smoothly. Gas mileage is decent. Nowhere near as good as my current vehicle. But then the issue was that it had problems all the time. Just felt like every 6 months, if even that, take it to the garage, spend thousands on it.
Yeah.
It's time to end that relationship with that car.
Yeah. Was there anything about it that you miss?
No.
Don't blame you.
No. It's like if I knew how much I would have liked the HRV, I would have just never got a Subaru. I would have just stuck with Honda the whole time.
Yeah. No, there's definitely a lot of other possibilities. The first generation of Foresters, when they came out, were quite unique because it was a lot of the capabilities of a wagon, a lot of capabilities of a small truck, but on a car frame that got okay-ish gas mileage. And people kind of really fell in love with them. And they're also excellent off-road. They're a great rally car, too. And people kind of fell in love with them. I feel like the Forester's gotten a little bit bloated, too complicated. I feel like I have a 2017, and mine is horrifically underpowered. It's a 4-banger, and it's too much car for a 4-banger. And and for the underpoweredness, the mileage you get is okay, And that's a common thing in the community, is a lot of people complain about the gas mileage. I don't understand people that think it has so much power and they are like, oh yeah, I'm racing around town. I'm kind of like, do we own the same car? I don't know, we do. So it's an odd thing. It was, for what I needed it at the time I got it in 2020, it's been great. I've moved twice since then. It's very helpful for that sort of thing. It's been okay to travel in, although the seats are not as comfortable as I'd like them to be. It's been great for this chapter of my life. I'm definitely ready to move on, so I'm not surprised. And yours was a 2010. Yours was like 15 years old. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So it's Anyway, are there? Yeah. So was there anything although I'm sure you got the Honda for practical reasons, in terms of if money were no object, what would you have gotten yourself? What's the?
I'm not into cars enough to really pick something.
No, that's right.
If I was super rich and just could have any car, I'd want a Rolls Royce.
Well, now you can get in an SUV thanks to the Cullinan. That's yeah. If you have an amount, the cost of a house to spend on a car.
Yes.
Yes. Will, let's talk cars. Now that we've gotten Connor's new car thing out of the way.
Yes.
Yes, yes, yes. Yeah, I think you've gone around with Connor a little bit. How is that HRV?
Oh, it's nice. It's nice, smooth ride. I gotta say, I mean, I haven't driven it, so but just riding in it, I gotta say, it feels like like I guess better than you would expect for a like a like a mid-size crossover small type car nowadays. I thought it was very comfortable, and the interior is very nicely designed. I like the instrument cluster. Honestly, it's a very nice looking car just in general. It's got nice lines on the outside. I like the little swoop over the rear window. It's got some good lines to it.
Yeah, no, that's good. I haven't even hardly looked inside it yet. So no, that's good. That's good to have another perspective. So now people should know this is about Will. What we have here, ladies and gentlemen, is a disaffected Ford Fusion owner. I
Very
think you have a
disaffected.
love-hate relationship with your car, like similar to
do.
mine. Like it's sort of like a. There are some great things about it, but there are also some difficult things about it.
Yeah. Some troubles. I gotta say, overall, it's been a really great car. Like, even with all the issues that it's had, it's never left me stranded anywhere. It's always pulled through, even if the check engine light's on for 6 months, or I've got 7 different other error lights on my dashboard. It's a 2016 Titanium, which was at the time the best model you could get at the year. Um, and the biggest problems that are known with it, um, the evap sensors go like every couple of years, so that's like a couple of $100 or like $500 every time because they have to take the whole inside of the car apart to access the thing. Um, so maintenance is fun. Ford feels the need to be special and have like their stock batteries and stock battery terminals are a special fit. So if you want to put in something aftermarket, even if it's like an interstate battery, something that's very commonly placeable in almost any vehicle, the grounds wouldn't fit over the terminals, so we had to like manually bore them out. Um, Also, if you want any bodywork repaired by the dealer, if it's not under warranty, it's going to cost you an arm and a leg, and I'm pretty sure that's with any car almost. But let me just tell you this one specific example. On the Ford Fusion, the front grille, it's that chrome, uh, like 5 or 6 lines chrome grille. And it's not bad looking or anything, but it's just chromed plastic. It's nothing crazy. And so it cracked, and I needed it replaced. It was going to be $2,800 to get chromed plastic from Ford. And I
That's
said,
embarrassing.
"Are you kidding me?" And he's
Better
like,
pay
"No."
up for that plastic.
And he goes, it arrives separately. Each individual grill piece is separate, and you have to order. They come in separate boxes, and you have to clip them together manually and then put them in the car. And the last biggest thing is that the heated and AC seats, Ford cheaped out because they're like, "Oh, this will be a fine, good idea," and instead of putting in a electrical ground into that unit that controls the heat and AC seats, with a double ground, they put in a single ground, so it'll catch fire. And that's exactly what happened to mine. And it was melted. I took it apart. It's all black and disgusting.
Fun.
Yeah, for all the things that have gone wrong with my car, I gotta say I still do love it. It's a very comfortable car. It's a nice ride. But it's time for something new.
Yeah, I had and I had 2 recalls on my car, which is already 3 years old when I got it. Right after I got it, one was to the air conditioning unit, which I actually thought was fine, but I drove across Death Valley in California with it. Was never sweat. It was fine. And the other one was the radio antenna. That all had to be redone. And so it's been a lot of time at Carter Subaru in Seattle when I got back to Seattle, because I was, getting all these, it was obviously all covered and everything, but and the radio one, they needed the car for 3 days, if you can believe that. It took them,
What?
yeah, it took them 3 days to do the radio antenna. Yeah, it was quite, yeah. So,
Wild.
yeah, it was a lot. I have to say, my car has been as much as I'm not a huge fan of the Forester, my car has been very reliable. And it has gotten me everywhere I needed, to go, and it, again, has been perfect for this time of my life. But I need something more exciting. That's my problem. I need something much more exciting than I currently, don't have, sort of thing. So but yes, anyway.
What do you think you'd like, Cam? Do you know?
Well, so there's kind of what's practical and there's kind of what's the dream. Dreaming wise, well, it's kind of a competition between two. If I really reached for the stars, at this point I would probably like to either get another Audi, because I do love German motoring, and
Nice.
I would get another Audi A6. Or I've also started maybe looking at a Mustang. But that's, both of those are kind of a bit of a reach. A lot of things have to come together for that to happen. I think practically, if I was to be a little bit more practical, I would probably look at maybe like a Ford Explorer off lease, sort of thing. Very practical, can carry stuff if I need to, all this type of thing, and you can pick them up used at a reasonable price, sort of thing. So, but I have to start thinking about it now, because my car's a 2017. It'll be 10 years old in 2 years, and any car after 10 years old, you have to put in about $2,000 to $6,000 a year at that age. So I've got to start, and I'm not doing that. I've done that with cars in the past. Like, I kept 2 aging Audis alive for 7 years of my life. I had an old Volkswagen Beetle I kept alive for a long time. My first car was a 96 Astrovan that literally only made it 110,000 miles, but cost thousands of dollars to get there, because GM in the 90s really had their act together. And so, I'm done over dumping money into cars. Like, that's not a thing we're gonna do, for certain. But as far as everything else goes, yeah, I mean, definitely probably something used off lease. My current car was a dealer's courtesy car, so it was very well taken care of. And so something like that, But I'm hoping that I don't have to make another practical car purchase. That's the goal. Is that the Forester lasts long enough to give me a chance to make a maybe not so practical car purchase. So, but we've talked about so many different cars you're looking at, but you're ready. You're ready for your truck era.
I am, yes. The way, I mean, if things were going very well, if things change in the future, but the ultimate plan, I mean, I would like to buy a new or newer Toyota Tundra. I would really love. I think that's kind of like my pie in the sky vehicle that I might get. And honestly, for all practicality's sake, and also quite frankly, financially, I really do want to get one of those right-hand driving mini K trucks, those little mini trucks.
Oh yeah,
I
those
really
are
love them.
Yeah, people are really into those, and there are special places you can get them from, sort of thing.
There's a place down here in Coventry that does imports, and there's also one in New Jersey. I've seen some private listings as well, but I mean, they're so customizable. It's become like, how we had that kind of cultural movement in cars with Civics.
Yeah.
And I mean, it still exists, but K trucks are like the new, like, they seem like they're becoming a new pop culture thing within the car community. People are tricking them out and doing all kinds of crazy stuff to them.
Yes, yeah, it's very similar to what they were doing with JDM cars in the 90s, and still do in many cases. And yeah, you ended up with very highly custom car cultures out of that, and a lot of aftermarket parts developed and stuff like that. So
also dictating on what I buy also is going to dictate when I get a job, because I want that truck for myself. But if I have to get, like, if I end up working at someplace nice, like we were talking about that finance company that I had an interview with, they're not going to want that parked in the lot.
yeah.
Probably not.
I think it would be a stretch to want to daily drive your K truck, though. Like,
yeah.
That's lovely for a Home Depot run on the weekends, but I don't think that's a daily driver situation.
I mean, I remember driving around my like Ford Ranger and stuff. I imagine it'll be similar to that, but yeah, driving in a city setting like where we are, it's not really great to have a standard, even though I love them.
Well, yeah, but I mean, also on top of that, it snows here, and
oh, true.
Yeah, so that.
But you just put sandbags in the back. That's all right. I grew up in the woods.
I mean, I know. I mean, it's still even so like the small wheels, small tires, plus ice, and it's light. So
it's very light.
Yeah, it's not going to take much for it to start moving. Sort of thing. There's not going to be a lot of sinking down to try to find traction. So
now we're going to put some big old beefers on it.
It's like, what are these small chains for? Oh, that's for the K truck.
Yeah, the little teeny tiny donut wheels. They're little, little
chains. Yeah, no. All right. Well, this was an interesting foray into the world of cars. Let's get Connor going again on a subject he knows a great deal about, and we'll transition into gaming. And both of our ideas in gaming come from Connor, so I know he's going to have a lot to say. The first one is Night Rain, an asset flip or not / prep for the Duskbloods. Connor, please tell us what I just read and what that means. I might as well have been incanting something in Latin. So tell us more about all that and what all that means.
Well, I've heard a lot of discussion online amongst the gaming community about if Night Rain's an asset flip, which would just... An asset flip is just taking a bunch of used assets from a previous game and mashing them together to make a easy and cheap new game. So I don't think Night Rain is an asset flip, even though, of course, they're using assets from Elden Ring and all the Souls games. But I've been a long-time Souls fan. It would have been nice to see some upgrades to the older bosses, and Will can comment on that too, since he played some Souls, like Cinder, the Smelter Demon, or the Gaping Dragon, for such a fast pace. New game, they feel slow.
It worked well in Dark Souls because that was a slower game, but Elden Ring, you can literally fly around at you're rolling around at the speed of sound. That's all of Elden Ring is your Sonic the Hedgehog with blood weapons. And it's like the Gaping Dragon walks at a whopping 1 mile an hour.
Yeah, here around. I come.
And then its AI is trash, and it just keeps walking off, trying to walk out of the area where you're trying to fight it.
Yeah, that's always
just wanders
fun.
around the arena.
Just poke it in the front. I'm gonna get you. Hurry around to the back. Poke it in the back. It's still trying to turn around. I'm gonna get you. It's not really. Yeah.
So, in 2026, it looks like a game from Software maybe dropping a game called The Duskbloods, which so far appears to be a Souls-inspired extraction / battle royale-esque game, which looks very fun. So I really think that Night Rain is just prep for that. They were able to give us something fun and newer, which is why I say it's not just purely an asset flip. But then the only things that really differ and changed from the initial Souls game is it's got this roguelike aspect. You're on a 3-day timer and then your run's complete. The fog shrinks over. Very typical extraction, battle royale type mechanics. And so, since From Software has never done a game like that before, I think to test how people's reaction to it and test the UI and how do we make these aspects of the game work, I think that's ultimately why they developed and dropped Night Rain, is just one big test for the Dust Bowl.
Now, you've been putting a lot of hours into Night Rain, haven't you?
I did for the first couple of weeks I had it. And I'll still do a run every now and then. I think its replayability is fine. But you beat the Night Lords, and then you're not seeing anything new. It gets repetitive once you get your relics, which let you buff your characters in different ways. Once you get good relics for the characters you like. And I would say, as a longtime Souls fan, just getting used to the nuances of Night Rain. But it's not a forever game.
Yeah. Yes.
From Software needs to work on their netcode is what they need to do.
That's true as well. Yeah, you want to talk about how awful things used to be?
So basically, the netcode is what they use to like sync multiplayer online PvP, and it's trash. It is hot trash, and like you basically, in order to have the most optimal experience, which is an incredibly low chance at this point, is that you get invaded or you call in an assistant by somebody who has their computer hooked directly through the Ethernet and has a good internet connection, and you both have to have these things. Otherwise, it does not work. It's like playing Smash Wireless. If you've played Smash Ultimate Wireless, you'll know it stops every 5 seconds if somebody has a dog shit internet connection or if they're on wireless, because it's constantly rebuffering trying to sync up. That's what happens in Dark Souls. And in a game, Dark Souls, where it's 1v1, possibly 1v1v1 situations, you'll be facing your enemy, face to face, and then you're keeping each other's movement, and then the guy all of a sudden instant transmissions behind you and stabs you in the back. And you're like, what just happened? And that's Dark Souls 1, 2, and 3. They're all like that. Dark Souls 1 was probably okay because it wasn't that popular, so the netcode, like the servers, could handle it. But like it seems like they've never updated it, because every Souls game that comes out that you can summon people, it has the same issues. And that's what's called artificial difficulty.
Fascinating. When it comes to, I didn't know that was what all of that was called. That was a very good lesson. Yeah, when it comes to getting multiplayer right, I feel like we kind of take advantage now of, like, we have a lot of games where, you can be on a potato, and it will find a way to work pretty well, sort of thing. But that was not always the case, There was a time when, someone's lousy internet connection could screw the whole thing up and make it all very difficult.
You'd say somebody was playing on McDonald's Wi-Fi.
Well, yeah. Or you ended up with, and we have this problem with, like, Star Trek Online, which you might talk about in a minute, where the game's too small. Limited budgets, could only afford so many servers, all this type of thing. Sometimes it's like, oh, thank God for the microtransactions, we can afford better service. Like, we can finally move on to Amazon, web services, yay! So, that does make a lot of sense. So I guess, Connor, what's the final verdict on Night Rain? Yes, no, should play, not play?
Oh, I would suggest people to play it. Sure.
Okay.
It differs from the older Soul games. New experience. Definitely fun. Have to suggest just playing solo though.
Yeah, that's okay. Well, we're 42 minutes in, so we have an option. We could take a brief detour to talk about Connor watching STO, or we could move on to a possible segment on movies that are out, or we could talk about that weird guy in Japan named Cole who interviews people on the road.
What would you guys like? 'Cause I'm happy with anything.
Let's go to movies.
Okay. Movies is fine. A lot of interesting things. So I noted down 2 things on movies I thought it'd be interesting to talk about. Maybe some of the stuff that we've watched, some of the stuff we're trying to watch. Some of the recent experiences we've had. I also just want to shout out the fact the final Downton Abbey movie is coming out in September, so I'm very excited about that. Never thought we'd get 3 movies out of that TV franchise. Never thought we'd get a movie. The first one was a little bit of an accident, much less 2 and now 3. But this is the final one, and then another side. And this one actually, I want to see Downton Abbey, but I also want to see this one. Brad Pitt, his new film F1, which was done by Apple, is in theaters right now and it's doing very well. And it's all about car racing, which is kind of want to bring up because it was a nice transition from talking about cars. But that's also doing well in the box office. So we have spent a non-zero amount of time watching movies and television and sharing different things amongst ourselves that we have not seen. I have now consumed 4.5 total hours of SpongeBob content, which is very exciting. As someone who'd never watched SpongeBob SquarePants in my life, I am now 4.5 hours into consuming content, which is very lovely. What movies are you guys excited to watch next? What have we seen that you loved? Are you excited to see maybe F1? I know neither of you want to see Downton Abbey, so that's okay. But that's
I don't know.
that's a
I've never watched
non-starter.
any of them. Maybe I'd like it. I don't know. I've never watched any of them.
Well, we could certainly visit that at some point. It's a lot of slice of life daily drama in an English country house. There's nothing blowing up, so I'm not quite sure if it's going to be compelling. But
Is there pettiness and backstabbing?
tons, heaps and heaps. Yeah.
Well, maybe. I don't know. I'll give it a shot. But I've never. I know kind of like about. I know it was a TV series, but I had no idea that there were any movies.
Yeah, there were 3. And it was they're all really great, a lot of fun, and this show has now covered probably about 40 years because it starts on the day the Titanic sank in 1912, and it's going to close out on the eve of World War II, so it basically covers like 35 years, which is crazy. It heavily inspired me in doing the Sweetgrass Saga. When I came up with that new book which I wrote in my MFA program, I literally described it as Downton Abbey set in the antebellum South. So I've taken a lot of cues from that. In fact, Richard Panic, my secondary reader, he advised me to go rewatch the entire first season again and then re-edit my book. And mostly because I think there's some stuff that can be cut out and all that type of, that's a whole other conversation. But anyway, the Downton Abbey movie's coming in the fall. Maybe we'll watch an episode of Downton Abbey at some point. That could be a lot of fun. Or one of the movies. I have at least one of them on my Plex. So, but F1, what movies are you excited to watch next? Is there anything in theaters that has you excited?
I went and looked through at what's out right now, and I gotta say the only thing that's like semi-attractive to me is the Michael B. Jordan's Sinners. And
that's very popular right now.
Ballerina could be good from the world of John Wick. Kung Fu Panda 4. I mean, I like the first one, but I haven't watched any other ones, so it's probably like way too cheese now. But maybe it'll be good. I don't know. And then the last one is Jurassic World Rebirth. That would be fun. I love all the Jurassic Park movies. They're fun, you know, just for something silly to watch.
Well, it doesn't have to be anything coming out now. It can be just anything in the queue of your mind. We have such a long list of stuff that we want to watch at some point. But I was also just thinking if any of those anything you just hadn't maybe watched in a while that you wanted to revisit or whatever have you.
Oh, well, one thing that I have sitting on my shelf that it's not necessarily a movie, but something I want to get into is Xena the Warrior Princess. Watching that from beginning to end.
That's the throwback for me.
I have that and the Hercules one, so we should watch tag team it.
A cultural phenomena.
Oh
yeah.
My dad had those on all the time.
Yes,
so did my grandpa.
There was many a young man of my generation that had sexual awakenings to one of those two shows. It was there was a lot of young men that discovered from Hercules that they were gay and didn't know it, and there were a lot of young straight men that had a lot of fantasies about. That was the first awakening. So both, yes, they look a little bit cheesy now because it's been that many years and the effects are that old and they weren't that great to begin with, sort of thing. But those are both iconic things.
I'd say it has as much production value as some of the independent Amazon shows that have come out. Rings of Power, like aside from the really like crazy stuff, it's just dudes standing around in costumes talking like most of the time. There's some action stuff where she throws her chakram and, you know, fights. She kicks a lot of ass. She kicks dudes' asses like from beginning to end, just kicking people.
Some of the backgrounds and like you can tell some of the building materials are plaster or rubber, like, you know, sort of thing. Like it's like that's not a stone, that's some stuff painted to look like a stone. Like, there's definitely a lot of that in both of those shows, but otherwise, it's, you know, your basic 3-camera setup. But
and other than that, I mean, one classic I always love to watch. To me, it's a classic. It's not to a lot of people. Is Showdown in Little Tokyo.
Always fun.
Yeah. Actually, this will be funny because you'll react to this a lot. I saw a video this morning. Our dear friend Rachel Zegler from Snow White is currently on Broadway. She's currently on Broadway playing Evita.
Oh.
Yes, she's on Broadway playing Evita. She's Eva Perón. She's playing Evita. And the video was last night. She was getting a standing ovation because of her performance in Evita. And I saw that video this morning, and I'm kind of like, well, you know what? Good on her for getting back out there. You know?
Yeah.
Like, it's
Evita balcony.
You know, although I kind of wonder what the vocal situation is like, but because that's a big show, a lot of big songs. Don't Cry For Me Argentina is a big song, and you got to make people cry. Not necessarily my first casting choice for Evita, but yeah.
You know, I think Rachel Zegler, I you know, our girl Rachel. You know, I feel like she kind of got shafted a little bit by the studio. Like, I mean, that whole movie was just a disaster. It wouldn't have mattered. It wouldn't have mattered if it was Marilyn Monroe or, you know, some whore on the corner. You would. Right. It was just going to be a flop no matter what. And she looked like Lord Farquaad. Like, the costume was awful. The seven assistants of varying sizes. You know, it was just a disaster, and it's a shame. But, you know, I also will say she could have just been like, you know, and just shut her mouth, and everything would have been fine. Let's get this bomb over with, and then I can move on with the rest of my life. But you know, it's a little bit on both sides for our girl.
I mean, she definitely didn't have any. Yeah, she didn't have any help. And then
probably don't.
Worse. Yeah.
Probably don't be mean to your coworkers for no reason.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then maybe also don't cause an international PR scandal for your company. That also. is
Yeah.
helpful. That's not necessarily going to be a great career move most of the time.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, don't bring up Gaza at the Snow White remake.
Yeah, especially when the other star in your show is Israeli. This is not going to end well for anyone, okay?
No,
This is just
no.
not going to end well. But yeah, she's on Broadway playing Ava Perón in Evita. So,
Mm.
and she looks much prettier in the Evita wig than the Snow White wig. It's much better. Like, I think she does kind of work as a blonde, I will say.
Mm.
It's Oh, are you looking for it? Should I put it up? I can see if I can find
Oh,
it.
I see. Yeah, if you'd like to put it up, sure.
Yeah. Um,
Yes, I see the blonde. Yeah, it's
yeah.
she can pull it off, yeah.
Yes.
While Cam's looking for that, I'll comment on the movies. I've been excited to show these guys. It's a anime film called Attack on Concrete. But Will and I have both been dragging Cam into our world of anime and SpongeBob.
Yes.
Just cartoons and anime in general. So it's
quite
great.
sad.
We've
Cam
grown
has
up
watched-
on anime.
Cam has watched 2 whole seasons of the anime. He has watched all of JoJo's part 1 and 2.
And so much other along the way. That's been a small percentage.
That's the most
Small
recent
percentage.
one.
Yes. Let's see if we can. There she is.
Oh,
Yeah.
Rachel.
Yeah. It's
God.
yeah, it's an odd that one's quite good. That's kind of better. And then we have this is like the full cast. And I was wrong, she's not at Broadway, she's in London at the Palladium, actually. So yeah.
She did Romeo and Juliet on Broadway, but that was in
Yes.
February
Wrong one, there you go.
before the Snow White bomb.
Yes, thebomb.com.co.uk. Yes, that's yeah, so I thought that was interesting. Connor, I'm sorry, can you see the title of the film you're excited to watch one more time?
It's called Attack on Concrete. Are you trying to look
yes.
for it?
No, I was trying to get it in because I had not. I think I heard you mention
Yes.
it one time in passing, and
Yeah.
I wanted to get clear on the language because that again is not words one had ever heard before. So it's good to get clear on the nomenclature. But yeah, what's this movie about?
It's about a area in a city which is essentially its own working economy called Treasure Town, I believe, and it is riddled with gang activity, and a lot of those gangs are orphan kids, and the story revolves around Black and White, who are 2 orphans trying to survive and make their way in the city, dealing with adult gang activity and dealing with other systems of power moving in and trying to take over the land entirely from them and essentially push them out so they really have nowhere anymore.
Oh, okay, all right. Little kind of man against machine as well. Okay, good. Yeah, I mean it sounds
Yeah,
compelling.
absolutely.
And when does it come out?
Oh, it's not new. We can watch
Okay.
it anytime we
Oh,
want.
good. Oh,
I've
cool.
just been
Excellent.
meaning to watch it with you guys for a while because I think it has aspects that'll wrap you both in.
Yes, I remembered you had mentioned it in passing to kind of put it on our little going list, our ever growing list of things we want to watch. So yeah, no, that's perfect. Excellent. That'll be good. So, well, we've added 2 new things. We might watch a Downton Abbey movie, and then we have Connor's exciting show. So that's good. That's very, very good. So here's a good one, kind of germane to the movie segment. Of some of the stuff we've watched or some stuff we'd like to watch, what's a movie you can always return to? And I say this because we recently watched a movie I always love to return to, which is called Curse the Golden Flower, with Chow Yun-fat and Gong Li. And it was one I used to just have on, just in the background sort of thing. And I actually got you guys to sit through the whole thing, which was an achievement, I think. And,
It was great. It was a good movie.
And so, what's a movie you can just always return to? You can just kind of always have on?
Donnie Darko.
Darn it.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
That
Just watch
tracks
that
for you.
movie.
Actually. I'm sitting here being like, how does he know? Actually, now that I think about it,
It makes sense.
yes, that actually makes sense. I'm horrified, but then I'm like, no, that makes sense. Like that. Yeah, that's. Yeah, Curse the Golden Flower is one I can always return to. There's a couple Woody Allen ones I always love to watch. One's called Manhattan, the other one's called Interiors. And actually, Will has never seen a Woody Allen film, which is crazy.
No, I have not.
So I'm kind of like, I kind of want to watch Manhattan. So we can watch Woody
I
Allen.
don't know if I have either.
Well, it's basically 2 hours of Woody Allen flirting with a 17-year-old girl in Manhattan.
Well, I mean, that's basically most of the anime we watch, so.
It's not even a
Dudes
far
that look like
departure.
they're 16, but they're dudes that look like they're like they look like they're in their mid-30s, but they're really like 14 years old.
Right. Like,
Yeah, how old were Jotaro and Kakyoin and that? Like 17?
They're 17.
yeah.
They're 17-year-old boys.
17
Can we
going
get a
on
photo of
35.
Jotaro and Kakyoin on the screen?
Like, don't let the clothes and the jawline fool you. I'm just a young man.
I'm just a little boy.
That's
Where's open image in new tab? Can I share? How do I share my screen here? Let's see.
Ooh, I don't know.
Let me see.
I don't even know
Shares.
that you can.
Oh
do
wait,
that.
yeah, I can.
Oh, you can. Go ahead.
Yeah, this is my favorite scene in the movie.
Oh yeah. Okay, so let me set the scene for the viewer. So this is towards the end of the film, and the Emperor Chow Yun-fat is the person standing. He's beating his youngest son to death for trying to do a coup with like 10 friends. Like
Against his massive army of thousands of tens
against
of thousands
all
of
of
soldiers.
Imperial China. Yeah, and he shows up to his father with him and his 10 buddies and some swords, and they're like, abdicate and give me the throne, and his father's like, that's cute, and then beats him to death. Like,
Yeah, he kills his older brother.
yeah, stabs him in the shoulder. He's already stabbed himself, and then he stabs him in the shoulder and kills him, and then his father
Yeah.
beats him to death for the coup.
Yep.
So, it's...
Yeah, when he rolled up with his little friends there, I'm just like, what is this boy thinking?
Yeah.
There's already a real coup going on.
that whole part is so chaotic because everybody's self-interest collides at once.
Yes. Yes. It's, well, yeah, I mean, it's, it's Game of Thrones Chinese edition, but faster and with fewer dragons. So the only dragons are the ones people are wearing on their heads. Unless it's the hour of the dragon, at which point it will be announced. So, yes. So, Donnie Darko, Crystal and Flower. Will, what's your comfort film? We've gotten derailed.
Man, I mean, the reason I brought up Showdown in Little Tokyo earlier is because I throw it on anytime I am working or doing stuff. It's just something nice to have on in the background. I gotta say that's one of my favorites, but I have the top spot I always choose is Airplane.
I knew. Once you were like the top spot, like, it's gotta be Airplane.
Well, I mean, I honestly, I respect that. That's one where oftentimes it's on cable in hotel rooms, and if I'm flipping through channels and can't find anything else to watch but like Airplane is on, I'm like, I'll watch it. I'm like it's something on, great.
I never saw it until Will showed it to me.
Yeah,
And
I was
just
my dad was really
I can't believe
into
I've never seen it.
Yeah, my
Slept
dad
on.
was into terrible movies from the 70s, and so I actually grew up with that shit. It was weird. Yeah, yeah.
And the Naked Gun movies.
And the Naked Gun movies. Which there's a new one coming out with Liam Neeson.
Yes. That's the one. That's one we're excited for.
Yes, that does have everyone excited. We're probably going to go see that as a little group. So it's...
yeah, I'm down for that.
Yeah, just when we go out in public, it looks like Connor's a very important person with his 2 goons. It's kind of funny. But...
It does.
He's actually our bodyguard.
Right. It's like,
That's what
you
people
know,
secretly don't know.
Yeah, he's the secret weapon.
Indeed. So that one we're gonna go out and see, and that one looks really good. I watched the trailer. I did not know that I needed Liam Neeson in a skirt, or I'm sorry, in a skirt. I don't know that I needed that, but we're gonna get it. So that's quite. And they have all the old gags, all the old stuff. It's a lot of it's on YouTube if you want to go check it out. But yeah, all the old gags are there, all the old stuff. If you're familiar with the franchise at all, they're bringing it all back, and they also make a joke about the OJ thing, and it's in the trailer, which is hilarious. So yeah, that's that'll be definitely extra amounts of fun. Yeah, so we have some things. We definitely have some things to watch. I'm hoping to get us back around to watching Mr. Robot. Connor really got taken in by the first episode. Will's not sold yet.
Yes.
So
I did come back and revisit the first episode, and I did watch it in full, and I did like it. So yes, we do have to watch the next.
Yeah, I'm excited to. I'm hoping episode 2 will really clinch it, because the story starts to move quickly, which is a lot of fun. Yeah, we just got done with JoJo's. We watched the second SpongeBob movie. That was interesting and a lot of fun. I've gotten to know all the players and the things now, so that was interesting. The art style took a lot to get used to, but it was fine. So that was all. That was good. We have not been in a watching stuff mood lately. We've had other diversions going. We have not.
Yeah.
We've not been watching a lot lately. So there's not.
Yeah, after we finished JoJo's.
Yeah, I think we're on a little bit of a break, sort of thing. We're in a little bit of exhaustion. Oh, yeah. There's that. What's that one ancient-ass Japanese show you like to watch? Something of the North Star. What's that called?
Oh, Fist of the North Star.
Oh my goodness. This thing was drawn in crayon on a cereal box. Yes, and they filmed it. The sound effects, I'm convinced they just called Toyota and recorded engine starting in some cases. Just like, send over all your engine recordings. That's the sound effects for this show. Sort of thing. There's got to be a lot of episodes of that, isn't there? Because I feel like every time I walk through, it's a different one. There's a lot of episodes of it. That's that's one that's been on a lot as of late.
Yeah, let me look and see how many there are. There's 152 episodes of that. There's also 3 movies that kind of cover the whole, and which would be an easier way for if you wanted to get into it, because it covers the basically 3 arcs or 4 big arcs in the thing. But yeah, the show is just absolutely ridiculous. I'd say it's a must-watch if you're into old anime, if you're into action and martial arts. It's really silly, but it's lighthearted and incredibly violent at the same time. And it does cover some deep subject matter, but I gotta say, when we watched the part with Souther, Connor just points out, he's like, this is an allegory for Jesus Christ.
Oh, absolutely. Like, that could be a whole other conversation, us talking about Yu-Gi-Oh! And Fist of the North Star and all their religious allegories.
Yeah, that is a segment we could prepare for the future. That could be interesting.
Just a fun fact, the original Fist of the North Star anime premiered in 1984.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yes, 1984.
The one we watched, yeah.
Yeah. There's also Fist of the Blue Sky Regenesis, which I have not watched, but supposedly that's a continuation. Not with Kenshiro, though. It's a, I don't know, relative ancestor, future generation. I'm not sure.
Yeah. Oh, we did start Connor on a nice diet of 80s B movies.
Oh, yes.
Which you and I had watched a ton of right before he arrived. And then yeah, we did look at a couple of those. All the Delta Force series with Chuck Norris. That was fun to revisit. So my dad always loved those, so I've seen so many of them. A lot of them I haven't seen in forever. Like, not since I watched them on cable in the 90s or the 2000s. So yeah, that's been a lot of fun. Yeah, and so Tubi is not a sponsored segment, but Tubi's great for finding stuff. Like, they need to sponsor us, but they're not a sponsored segment. But Tubi's great for finding stuff. So it's nice because you just, sit through some ads. It's basically watching TV old school. If you're willing to sit through some ads, you can watch for free. And we're all old enough to not be offended by an ad in the middle of a show, so we can survive watching it on Tubi. So
sit there or get up and do something.
yeah, exactly, like we used to do back in the day. That was a chance to go to the bathroom, grab a snack. So it's no, that's very 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 good. Yeah, there's so many different films that we've tossed around. Oh, we tried to watch 300, but our DVD player is old and tired. We need to go grab a cheap new one because it keeps stacking on discs. So
yeah, it's a shame. It's been a good little DVD player for me. It's survived many years, but yeah, it looks like it's finally time.
Yeah, it's given up the ghost, unfortunately. But yeah, that was the last good one. I think we ended up streaming that on another no, we watched something else actually. So no, all right, well that's good. All right, so we're at 8 minutes past 7. We've been on for about an hour. Do you want to do one more segment about that weird Asian Japanese guy, or do you want to be done for the week?
I'm good.
Do we want to? Yeah, I'm fine with that. I think we can wrap up for the week. I think maybe if we want to talk about him, we could do some reaction content the next time.
Yes, well, that was kind of my thought. Actually, I had the videos queued up, but I want to technically figure out like how to have you guys on screen at the same time. So let's save that rather than figure it out now and here. Let's save that, and we'll do a little rehearsal, and we'll figure out how to do that sort of thing.
Well, if we're gonna, are we gonna close then? Because I would like to put a tribute out to Jimmy Swagger and all our televangelist friends.
Please do your tribute to Jimmy Swagger before we close out. I want to hear what you're gonna do.
Okay, well, it's not gonna be anything crazy, but I'd like to show first Benny Hinn and his magic coat. I love Benny Hinn purely because he is so ridiculous. But Benny Hinn, he cures people with his magic coat.
Oh, yes.
The sword of Jesus.
I need him to hit me with that jacket.
Feel the Lord. Fresh, the breath of the Lord.
I like how it gets into where it looks like it's not even people there that went there for that reason anymore. It just looks like now the crowd is wandering out into it. Yeah, I mean...
Yeah.
Just...
Oh, see, this could work as like a reaction thing. I'm experimenting right now with screen layout while we're watching this.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
Let me swap my one more for Mr. Jimmy Swagger preaching the living word.
Very passionate.
Yep.
Yep. R.I.P. Jimmy Swagger.
Yeah.
Oh.
No, that's a perfect closing because it brings the show full circle. Because I just wanted to kind of, again, if you grew up religious evangelical, these people were a part of your life, sort of thing. So I thought it would be fun to just kind of mention that as a just kind of anecdote sort of thing. So
this is not a Christian podcast.
No, we are not at all.
These are wonderful characters that existed and meant a lot to a lot of people.
Yeah, yes, but definitely, yeah. They also, they are great at getting money from people. They're really terrible at actually helping people.
Yeah, he's more of a pop culture figure. So he's like what the internet calls now a lol cow.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So, no, that's a perfect ending to the podcast. And I got to experiment with the reaction video situation. Although the interesting thing that I do have to figure out is I don't have audio from you. So I think if I play the videos and we react to them, it'll work better.
Okay.
But,
I'm sorry. It wasn't playing through. I had it on max
but
volume.
it's okay because I was just experimenting anyway. Like,
Okay.
it was fine to figure out, kind of what, if we were to do reaction content, how I could lay that out, and we actually just kind of figured it out real quick. So we killed two birds with one stone, as the old saying goes.
Oh yes, quite right. Very well done.
So I think for audio purposes, I think I have to play it through on this end, but otherwise, we can just put up the video on the video segment, and then I can just drag you guys in, and we can just be floating around the screen, and we can react to stuff. So we figured out multiple things. So, but... All right, well, in that case, then, I'm going to do some closing housekeeping. So I want to let everybody know we are actually going to get seriously into this. So 2 things are going to happen here soon. We're going to get custom graphics so we can make our own intro, so we're not using the Cameron Journal one anymore. And then 2, we're going to be on 2 social platforms. One, we're going to be on Substack, and the others are going to be on Instagram. So we're going to find some fun stuff to post. We'll post some memes, and, Will has 12 million videos. He can now just share them to the stories of the podcast, and people will love it. So it's, so it'll be a lot of fun, and we're going to keep doing this. We're going to keep talking about stuff. If you want to hear the guys talk about something, let us know. If you want to hear me talk about something, let us know, although I can't imagine you would because I have so much content. But if you want to hear the guys talk about something, let us know. We'll put it into the mix, and we're just going to keep going and getting more used to this format and these conversations and just get better every week. So if you want to follow me on social media, it's at Cameron Cowan or at Cameron Journal, pretty much everywhere. And we'll let everybody know when we get the Instagram and the Substack up so you can follow the guys as well. So thank you all so much for watching. I really appreciate it. And we'll see you next time on the Living Joke Podcast.
See you
Bye,
next time.
everyone.